Hey folks, we're back and we are looking at something called data validation. Data validation basically means that you set up a cell so that if someone is responding to a question, for example, if you're attending the party or not, um, we want to make sure that they answer in a specific way. So you may have reasons that you want to do this. Maybe you're totaling those answers. Maybe you're making a chart to display those answers. And by having a bunch of different responses, you might really muddy the waters and make it so it doesn't really help very much. So in this case, I want to know two possible responses, either yes or no. And so I'm going to apply some data validation here to whether they are attending or not. So the way that you do that is by selecting the cells that where people will answer, and then you can come up here to data and data validation. Now there are a variety of ways to do this and you can experiment with those. For this one, I'm going to choose a list from a range. There are other things you can do. You can make your own list of items. You can make it specifically have to be a number. And one that I like is to make it a checkbox. So if you check the box, then yes. If you don't check the box, then no. So we could choose checkbox and use custom cell values. And then if it's checked, it's going to be yes. If it's unchecked, it's going to be no. So you can do a variety of things. We're going to do two different ones. We're going to do list from a range, and then we'll take a look at the checkboxes as well. So the list of this range is going to be right down here, these two possible responses. So I'll click on this to select the range, come over here, select those two, and click OK. And what we're going to do is have it show as a drop down list. So there'll be a little arrow and they can choose which one they want. If it comes in here to, if they decide to put something that's not correct in there anyway, then you can either have it show a warning or reject it completely. And I'm going to reject it. If they can't figure it out, they can't figure it out. Um, and you can also decide to show some text to help them with that particular thing if they're confused about what they need to put in. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And now you can see that those little arrows come in. And when I click the arrow for Shania Twain, it gives me the option of yes or no. That way I can be really sure that my data will have some integrity to it and it won't have a bunch of other stuff. Maybe some silly person's going to put 12 in there. 12 doesn't help me with anything at all and it just screws up my data. This lets me keep the integrity of it and make sure that all of my data is going to be restricted to just two answers. So I'm going to come in here and get rid of this though. How do I do that? Go to data, data validation, and then remove the validation. And that way it's right back to normal cells. So data, data validation, and this time I'm going to do some check boxes. And I'm going to use custom values for that. So checked equals yes, and unchecked equals no. Reject input if it's anything but those. And we're good to go. So I'll click save. And now I just have a checkbox. And if somebody comes in here, I share my spreadsheet with someone, they come in and they check the box for themselves, then I know that that's going to be equal to yes right up here. So that is what data validation looks like. And if I wanted to total up some things here, I could use my count function that we talked about earlier to total those up. And I think that you get a pretty good idea of what that data validation looks like. So I think you've got a challenge coming up. Make sure you get that knocked out. And I appreciate you tuning in. So have a good day, folks.